When Ian first visited his local Anglican church, the minister, Reverend John Harper, remembers that it was quite obvious that being there wasn't his idea.
Oh, well, he was sort of sitting there, you know, like this. He was an unwilling participant.
Yeah?
I think would be the way to express it. Yeah, he was there, a man under obligation. How's things? Everything under control?
Yeah, more or less.
And he said to me, he said, I'm here because of my wife. We've chosen the Anglican church because it's sort of safe. And I thought, yeah, welcome.
How did you break through that?
Well, I think one of the early breaks through when he realised, he said, oh, Harper, he said, I sort of know that name. And I said, well, you know, I did some sort of economics at one stage. So he was very surprised. And I think that sort of was an initial bonding.
We'd been going, I guess it was a couple of times, and John came up to me and said, you don't believe a word of this, do you? And I said, no, I don't. And he said, well, how long do you intend to keep coming to this church while you don't believe what's said? And I thought that was a fair question. John and I were both economists, so we had a shared professional background, and I thought he was talking to me economist to economist. Look, you know, what are you doing here if you don't accept this evidence? And I thought that's fair enough. So I said to him, look, mate, if you can explain this to me in a way that I can understand, then I'll believe it. He looked quite shocked and he said, do you mean that? And I said, well, of course I mean that. And he said, you're on.
So, as you can see, it's the different, you know, journals about pastoral theology, worship. He's used to libraries and academic bookshops, and so at Ridley, he was a fine theological library where he could actually get a range of views and he would form his own opinion about the faith.
Here I was an educated man. I mean, I was a professor at the university, and I'm used to the world of books and to the world of knowledge. So when we went to this library and I saw, even before I'd opened any books, I saw evidence of scholarship and learning and depth of understanding, which I had simply assumed did not exist. I had assumed that all of this was fairy tale nonsense. And then I came up against centuries of scholarship and learning and writing about this subject. I suddenly thought, whoa, I've totally undersold this.
So at what point in your life did you make a decision to follow this?
Well, we'd been through Mark's Gospel with John, and then, as I say, we'd been off to this library and we'd looked at a few other books, and in fact, John gave me what's called a commentary on Mark's Gospel, which is a formal scholarly discussion of what you actually read in the biblical text. So I'd taken all this on, and I'd certainly moved to a position of realising this wasn't just made-up stuff. But still, I hadn't taken the final leap. And it was, I guess, another month or so afterwards. We were in church again on a Sunday. It was actually Christmas Day. And I was sitting there in church on Christmas Day, and we're doing the sorts of things, you know, that go on Christmas Day. People are singing Christmas carols, and there was a sermon. And then John called for communion, that is to say, for us to go up and actually share what Christians call the Lord's Supper on Christmas Day, the anniversary of the birth of Christ. And I thought to myself, what do you know? It's actually true. Well, John gave me the communion, but I think he was a bit surprised because we'd had this long discussion, and communion was something where I drew the line. I knew that that was a ritual for believers. That was for the insiders, and I respected that. I knew that much from school, so I never had partaken of that. So when I did, he knew that something had happened, but of course then and there didn't ask me anything. After the service, he came straight up to me and said, "You took communion today." And I said, "That's right." He said, "Why?" And I said, "Because it's true."
We've just heard Ian Harper tell the story of coming here to Ridley College Library and discovering that over the centuries, much scholarship has taken the story of Jesus seriously. It can't be written off as a fable, but when Ian Harper looked at the story of Christmas and the story of Jesus, not only did he discover it was true, he discovered it made a difference to his life. It changed him from the inside out in that moment and continues to do so today. So who would want to cancel all of this? But we can't just be sentimental about Christmas or even economic rationalists that say, well, we should stick with it because it makes lots of money. We need to consider if it actually happened, and if it did, does it make any difference at all? Ian Harper's story is the impact of Christmas and the life of Jesus when you consider the facts. It actually makes a difference in people's lives, and it would be foolish to enjoy the festival and miss the personal difference that Christmas could make in your life. We also want to offer you the opportunity to look more closely at the facts of the Christmas story. In this book, The Case for Christmas, we want to send this to you for free. Just go to the website, put your details in, and we'll give you a look at The Case for Christmas, and we'll send this out to you. We trust you have a Merry Christmas. So guys, what's in those presents?